Hello there, friends. Welcome back to Mario Month with episode 25 of That One Gaming Podcast. I'm Colin, otherwise known as Delicious Morsels, and here today with me is Lucas, aka Carnival9. How you doing, Lucas?
You're a human, right? Why are you so small?
What?
I'm doing good.
Oh, that went over my head. Anyway, we've also got Neal here, better known as VMK89. How are you, Neal?
I'm doing all right. I can't think of any Mario movie quotes off the top of my head.
May I lift the cover now? Anyway. Wow, we're off to a great start. If you are new to this podcast, welcome. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Google, or one of the many other podcasting platforms out there where the three of us get together every other week and we talk about a variety of topics in the world of gaming. This week, as I guess we kind of alluded to, we're going to be weighing in and providing our official TOGP review of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which released on the 5th of April. Already, as of the time of this recording, on the 16th of April, the movie has grossed over $670 million and has blown tons of records away in the process. Our review is going to be split into two segments. The first one is going to be spoiler-free, then followed by a spoiler section. So if you haven't seen it yet and don't want things spoiled, you can still get our thoughts on the film without risk of being spoiled. And don't worry, we're going to call out the spoiler section in advance so you don't suddenly find yourself swimming in spoilers. And there are going to be timestamps in the description of this podcast for you to skip around that segment should you desire. But before we get into the main event, Lucas, what have you been playing?
Metroid Prime.
Oh my god. Why am I not surprised?
Look, I'm on the brink of breaking 3 hours on a natural route, 90%. I just want to get under 3 hours and call it good. I want to be able to have to switch back to the GameCube version and sequence break to lower my PB any further.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
How many times have you been through it now?
I think this is number 9.
Oh my god. Wow.
Look, I just love this game. It's so good. Go play it.
Except when you forget a single artifact.
Oh god.
Yeah.
That was so frustrating.
I
had to throw away a nearly complete run because I missed the artifact in the Fendrana temple, and even worse is I thought out the statue, I hopped in the statue's hands into the morph ball to open up the path to the artifact, and then I just left.
Oh. Seems like a noob mistake.
Yeah.
Get good, scrub.
Yep.
Probably something I am going to do completely just not knowing it when I finally play the game. When I finally get time. I am stuck in some lengthy RPGs right now, so I don't know when I'm going to get time.
Yeah. You and your 2 Switches and 2 copies of Metroid Prime. But...
Yeah. I could race myself.
Yeah.
But what's Neal been playing?
I have been playing quite a bit of stuff, actually. Kind of bouncing around between multiple different games. I know, it's unusual for me, isn't it? First of all, I got back into BioShock on the Switch instead of the PC. Doing better there. I kind of know what to see for this first section. I will say that playing it in the dark on a TV is kind of terrifying for me.
It does have some moments that kind of make you go, ugh.
Yeah.
There's a lot more like kind of gross stuff than straight scary stuff in that though.
Yeah.
Is it?
Just like
I mean, by the nature of genetic splicing, you're going to see a lot of body horror type stuff.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But I love when you can just randomly hear them like maniacally singing in like the room across from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah, at the beginning, the lady who's talking to her baby that's already dead, but thinks she's talking to an alive baby. And all you see is like the shadow on the wall that she's casting.
That scene is so much more painful as a parent now than it was the first time I tried playing through BioShock.
Yeah.
I believe it. I've also been playing Sonic Origins, which is really kind of the first time I've really delved into Sonic Origins a lot, because when I got the game, I played it a little bit and realized that it wasn't nearly as polished as it should have been, and was kind of salty about it because I pre-ordered it, and I just kind of dropped it after that. But I recently started playing Sonic 2 on Sonic Origins.
Nice.
And I played all the way through it.
The Game Gear.
That's not the right game. They're adding Sonic 2 on the Game Gear to Sonic Origins Plus.
They are.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Along with a bunch of other Game Gear games. And people are really hoping they'd give some sort of option to play the Master System version, so there's less screen crunch, but who knows?
Yeah.
It's Sega.
It's Sega.
Yeah. I will say, I ran into really my first major unpolished bit of Sonic Origins, which was I got all the way to Wing Fortress Zone and got to a section where you have to jump across platforms floating on the sky. They're like ailerons popping up or something like that. And a section of them just won't pop out, so you can't jump to them. And it's the only way to get past that part of the level.
Oh.
And if I hit restart, it doesn't change. And I can't restart from a previous save file because that's not how it works.
Yeah.
In this game. So I was just hard locked out of my game file of Sonic 2.
Oof.
Yeah.
So they haven't fixed it yet.
No.
Oh.
That's unfortunate.
Oh no.
I could not find anybody else on the internet who had this problem.
Huh.
So, yeah.
I really hope that Origins gets a second set of reviews when Origins Plus comes out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I really want to pick it up because there's actually a physical copy, but like if it's still broken like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know.
Yep.
Like I want it because it's like the classic Sonic games on modern hardware, but like, oh my god.
It's sad that the mobile versions might still be the best way to play it, even though they've kind of added ads to that. I mean, buying the ad-free version is like $2, but you know, it's a phone. You're supposed to buy it for free or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was pissed off by that because I bought the game when it was ad-free and you had to buy it. But then when I downloaded it on my iPhone instead of my iPod, or my iPad is what I originally had it on, it didn't have the purchase of the ad-free version of it, and it wasn't an install from when I had it on my iPad, so it didn't know I had it purchased already.
Oh no.
So I just kind of like never bought the ad-free version, almost out of spite for them doing that. Yeah. But yeah, I did end up switching over to Sonic 1, or actually what I did was I picked up my story mode playthrough, which was at Labyrinth Zone, the third active Labyrinth Zone, because man, oh man, is the Labyrinth boss annoying.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I know the shortcut that takes you through that act way faster. So I did eventually beat it, and I am now in Sonic CD. I just beat the Collision Chaos boss, and I'm in Tidal Tempest. And Sonic CD is fun if you actually try to do the good features via destroying the robot generators in the pass.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to play Sonic CD. You can do it with just getting the time stones, but it's not nearly as fun, and the game goes by way faster. But yeah, that has been my experience so far with Sonic Origins. Also, I did play a little bit of Hot Wheels Unleashed because it was on sale, and I bought it.
Nice.
How do you like it?
It actually seems pretty fun. I've really only played the tutorial. And just kind of messed around a little bit with some of the other modes. I am saddened that you can't change the controls for player 2 on split screen.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So you have to have default controls. Like, basically, I want to do the default controls on split screen because if I have like one person as one and then somebody else as the default, I mean, if I've changed one for player 1 and then the other person is on default, I'm not going to be able to go, hey, if you press this button, it'll speed you up because it will be different controls.
Yeah.
And so I generally make my racing games have controls similar to Mario Kart. Because a lot of times Need for Speed doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm bummed out by that, so I haven't gotten too far into it. But I'll get playing it a little more. It seems like a good game.
Yeah, I like it. I got it last year in a similar sale.
Okay.
And I haven't played it much either, but I put probably a good couple of hours into it because the way that car unlocks kind of work in that is it's like a little bit of, it's kind of on a rotation in a way. Like there's like a certain car that you will be able to unlock for like 4 hours and then it rotates to a different car and something like that. And it's just on a constant rotation of unlocks and stuff. So one of the cars that was on my upgrade or on my unlock queue for when I was playing it that first time I picked the game up was Kit from Knight Rider.
Nice.
So like I grinded for like 2 hours to get enough points so that way I could unlock Kit. I unlocked Kit and I haven't played the game since.
Oh, okay.
I'm just waiting. Well, I'm waiting for an opportunity to play it with my brother because we used to play Hot Wheels Turbo Racing on the PlayStation back in the day.
Okay.
The game itself is actually really, really good. I like what they did with like the scale of everything because it's all like real world Hot Wheels scale.
Yes.
So like
that seems to be the coolest part right now.
So like all of the tracks are like in real world environments and stuff, like a college dorm and stuff. And it's like, it's really cool the way they did it. And I think there's a track editor. I haven't played with it yet though.
I haven't either, but I'm excited for that if I get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely playing it brought back some good memories of playing Turbo Racing on the PlayStation. So I do recommend it if you pick it up on a sale.
Wasn't that the game that introduced you just to Metallica with Fuel?
Yeah, it was.
Nice.
But Colin, what have you been playing?
Well, I kind of alluded that I have been stuck in like a bunch of lengthy RPGs.
Yes.
And yeah, that's basic. So I haven't been playing much, but I finished Final Fantasy IV finally, and it was really good. Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned I've been off and on with that game for close to 20 years now, across several different iterations of the game, and I finally beat it, and the ending is phenomenal. I absolutely love that game. It's one of my top 5 Final Fantasy games. And I don't think it's kind of slept on among the rest of them because it really gets overshadowed by Final Fantasy VI, and it's kind of a shame. I mean, it's not quite as overshadowed as 5, but that out of the 3 that released on the Super Nintendo, but that's more due to Final Fantasy V never getting a North American release on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
But between 4 and 6, the ones that we did get, and then like 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on and stuff, Final Fantasy IV just really, really gets overshadowed. And I think it's personally, I like it better than 6 because the story is a lot more straightforward and focused. It has a cast of characters that it sticks to. It doesn't like overly expand on it like 6 does, where you end up by the end of the game with like 18 different characters in your party. Actually, I think it's more than that. And then like half of them don't really even get fleshed out at all. And like it's one of the best, like you guys remember how in Final Fantasy 1 where it's just a fantasy game until all of a sudden it flips a switch and it's like, oh, by the way, we're sci-fi now.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, okay, so Final Fantasy IV does that as well, but I think it's probably got like the best iteration of like that idea in the franchise. Just we are going from strictly fantasy to, oh, hey, it's sci-fi now and we're going to the moon. It's so good. It's so cool the way that 4 does it. And again, it's one of my top 5 Final Fantasy games, even if I don't cheat and do the 8, 9, 10 or 1 thing that I do. But also, over the last couple of weeks, I managed to finally get copies of Xenosaga episodes 2 and 3. And Xenosaga episode 3 especially was one I wasn't expecting to be able to get my hands on at any reasonable point in time because of how ridiculously expensive it is.
Yeah.
And I was able to snag 2 separate auctions, but from the same seller, and they were back to back, where I got Xenosaga episode 2, and then I also won episode 3 for like, I mean, it was still expensive, but relative to the game's average going price, I still saved a fair chunk of money on the 2. I ended up getting both games for about the price of Xenosaga episode 3 alone. So I was happy with that. But
yeah,
that got me wanting to finally go back and finish my Xenogears playthrough that I started last year, so that way I could start playing the Xenosaga games. So I did that. I was about 33 or so hours into Xenogears before I picked it back up to make my last little jaunt through the end to the end of the game. The game ended up being about 55 hours for me. It's really good. The story is just absolutely, it just goes so off the rails in the second disc that I kind of alluded to the Transformer Astro Train, where he's one of the triple changers from the original Transformers series. So he's got 3 different forms. He's got the robot form, obviously, but his alternate forms are an old steam locomotive and a space shuttle. So I kind of akin the way Xenogears goes off the rails to Astro Train being in locomotive form and then just transforming into space shuttle mode and just completely leaving the planet behind altogether. Kind of off the rails. Like, it gets insane. There's a lot of questions that the game kind of sets you up all throughout the game, and then it just answers them like in the most insane ways possible. What's really sad about how it does it, though, is because of the development cycle of the game. They ran out of budget for the game and also time. So it's kind of infamously known that the second disc of Xenogears is kind of like a drastic departure from the first, more so in the gameplay department, because it kind of, in order to make sure that they were able to tell the entire story they wanted to tell, they had to make a lot of compromises because of budgeting and time restraints. So a lot of disc 2 is just, instead of you physically going and doing the thing, it's them saying, okay, you did the thing, sort of, kind of. It's just a lot of narration and being told the story as opposed to actually participating in it. And then every now and then it'll cut to like and you if there's a boss fight, you'll do the boss fight and stuff. But a lot of the exploration from the first disc is kind of cut out to save time and make sure the story was finished.
Dang.
Yeah. I mean, I still think it's worth experiencing because the story is fantastic. And the story, it's in a game like that, the story is definitely the bigger weight. So I'm glad they finished the story rather than continuing on and then just being like, oh, well, we're out of time. I guess here's a cliffhanger. I guess you'll have to wait for the sequel that will never get made now because Square had these ridiculous requirements on us for whether or not we would get a sequel or not. Naturally, they didn't meet those expectations, and the team left to form Monolith Soft, and that's when they signed on with Namco to publish the Xenosaga series from there. But what's really interesting to think about with that, so the total budget for Xenogears was about $2 million. Guess what the budget for Final Fantasy VII was?
Was it also about 2 million?
No. The budget for Final Fantasy VII was over $40 million.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And Xenogears was actually originally one of the first story pitches for Final Fantasy VII. And they decided that the game was a little bit too dark for what they were wanting to do with that franchise. So they still gave them permission to go and make the game on their own, but didn't really allocate much of a budget in order to do so. But what they did with that budget compared to like the astronomically larger budget that Final Fantasy VII had, I still think they did. If they had twice the budget that they had for Xenogears, if they had $4 million, so still just a fraction of Final Fantasy VII's budget, I think they would have not only been able to finish the game properly, but it would have easily gone down next to Final Fantasy VII as one of the best RPGs ever made, just because the story there was so phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the gameplay for the first half of the game was also really good. So, but yeah, I'm glad I finally finished Xenogears because now all of the references that the following series, like all of the references that Xenosaga has and all the references that Xenoblade has, I'm going to be able to pick up on those now. And I already kind of am. Like, Xenosaga is very, very upfront because that's the other game that I've been playing now. I started Xenosaga episode 1, and that's like very, very upfront with its references to Xenogears, which is really cool. It's like the big, like, they call it the Zohar, and it's just like that big, like, cross looking symbol thing that they have. If you've seen it, you recognize it. But that's like a central piece of the plot in Xenosaga. But another really cool thing about Xenosaga, the combat system is really cool. It feels like a little bit of an homage to Xenogears, but just tweaked enough to be different and function on its own, sort of. Like, there's still, like, you can still have mech combat and stuff just like in Xenogears, which is really cool. Only this time, you can kind of, well, I guess you could in Xenogears also. You could get in and out of the gear in some battles, but in this one, you can, like, basically call down your robot, get in your robot, and then you have the benefit of increased stats and stuff because you're in a giant robot and you're shooting monsters.
Dang it, Bobby, get in the goddamn robot.
But perhaps one of the things that Xenosaga is best known for, partially because it's on the cover art of all 3 games, is the battle android Cosmos. And the game wastes absolutely no time making sure you know that Cosmos is a badass, because like immediately when you first see her in combat, she's just whipping out these little miniguns and then just like blasting these monsters away with like just this cold stare on her face because she's like an android.
Yeah. I remember first time seeing her, my first thought was like, oh, this is new 13 from Blaze Blue, but with all of the MMS1 Serpent from Mobile Suit Gundam Endless Waltz's piles of miniguns.
She has a lot of guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. And like she can turn her arm into a cannon for like her special moves and stuff. Just pretty neat. Yeah, I'm really liking Xenosaga so far. I'm 12 hours into it now. I hit a boss fight that's a little bit difficult. I'm probably going to have to figure out what I'm going to do to get past that this morning. But overall, the game's really good. The story is really good. It's giving you a lot of questions that will probably be answered later on, kind of like Xenogears did.
Yeah.
They're really good at that. But yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do after I finish this one, though, because I want to play all 3 now that I have all 3, but they're so long. I think I might take a break for some shorter games in between.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, Xenogears, I was playing it emulated on Steam Deck. I could do that with these games, but I figured since I went to the trouble of buying physical copies of them, and also I just bought a backwards compatible PS3, I figured I would play them on the actual hardware just because.
Yeah, that seems fair.
So that kind of limits my playtime in a way as well, because I can't just take it anywhere with me like I could with the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I also lose out on save states, which were very, very useful in Xenogears.
Yeah.
That reminds me, because going back to Xenogears, because it was the second disc was unfinished, there were a couple of nearly game-breaking bugs that kind of slipped through the cracks in the second disc that if I didn't have save states to abuse, like if I was actually playing the on-disc version of the game, I don't know if I would have continued with it.
Oof.
Whoa.
Yikes.
Like there was one room where there's this puzzle where you're supposed to there's 3 holes in the ground and you're supposed to go around and make a couple, like these 3 rocks fall from the ceiling to push into the holes. Well, one of the rocks was glitched and wouldn't always fall.
Oh.
So I had to go in and out of this room to reset the puzzle like half a dozen times before I finally got that 3rd rock to fall to finish the puzzle. I was like, oh, this could have been really bad.
Yeah.
And then there's a boss fight later on where one of its attacks is glitched, and occasionally, not every time, but occasionally when it goes to use this attack, the game will just hang up as it zooms into it, as it begins the animation for the attack, and it won't freeze, but it'll just stop, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of soft locks itself.
Yeah, like everything, like there's still motion and stuff going on screen, but it doesn't really do anything. It just kind of, everything just sits there and idles. And it did that repeatedly. So it's like, and this is a boss fight for starters. And it's kind of a pain in the butt kind of boss fight too, because every time you hit it, it heals itself for like 20,000 HP, no matter how much damage you do. So the strategy for fighting it was wait for it to use a specific attack that damages everybody, including itself, by a percentage of your total HP. And you wait for it to do that just enough times where you can go in and hit it once and kill it. Well, every now and then while you're waiting for it to use that attack, it'll rotate in the attack that soft locks itself.
Oh.
So I kept having to restart this fight over and over again. Finally, I decided that every single time it used the HP lowering attack, I would save state it. So that way, at least I have that point of reference that I can just load back to. I don't have to restart the fight. And then eventually, I will be able to kind of work my way through the entire fight, get it to a point, and just kill it. And it still took me like a half an hour.
Yeah.
With save states. Just because it kept hanging up. It's like, oh my god. But like, seriously, if they just had a $4 million budget instead of $2 million, I think that game would have gone down as one of the best RPGs of all time. It still kind of does on some lists because a lot of people do kind of look past the flaws of the second disc because the rest of the game is just, it's all there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you could argue it was their fault for not sticking to their time frame and their budget and stuff. But like, at the same time, I mean, when you have the creative capacity to do something like that.
Yeah.
And money gets in your way. I mean, it just sucks. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that now that they're with Nintendo seems to be treating them a lot better. And the Xenoblade series hasn't really suffered from any of this kind of issue.
Yeah. I've honestly heard nothing but great things about the Xenoblade Chronicles series so far.
I mean, Nintendo, after Xenoblade 3 came out, Nintendo has said that Xenoblade as a franchise is one of their new pillars going into the modern era. So, like,
Good.
Nintendo considers it as important. I mean, I wouldn't say as important as like a Mario and a Zelda, because those are all like first party in-house franchises. But like, if Mario, Zelda, stuff like that are Nintendo's like A tier as far as like their priority goes, I think Xenoblade kind of falls into their B.
Yeah.
Along with like Fire Emblem. That's another one that they've said recently is very important to them. So yeah, it's cool. I'm glad that I can't wait for the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Wave 4 DLC with the story expansion for it, because it's going to be wacko.
Sure wish Metroid were important.
Right. Or at least that they would treat it like it was more important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure wish Mother 3 was important.
Yeah.
I don't even have to work that hard for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
Just reach out to Tomato. He's got the script already done for you.
I mean,
he's a professional localizer by trade, so like they can just use that script. It's already professionally localized.
I mean,
they've literally said if Nintendo wants to use this, they absolutely can.
I mean, we randomly got, for better or worse, Earthbound Beginnings out of the blue back in 2015.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe someday. I mean, who knows? It could be one of those things that just randomly gets dropped on Switch Online.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it's not the same as being able to buy it, but at this point.
Yeah, I'd pay $75 to have Mother 3.
Yeah.
Maybe at this point, they've just decided, we're going to restore it to our original vision of the N64 DD version, and we're going to get Mother 3D.
Do it.
Mother 3 and Knuckles.
Oh, but anyway.
No CD add-on for the Super Nintendo, so there's no Mother CD, unfortunately.
Unfortunate. But anyway, I rambled on long enough about lengthy RPGs. Ramble on! So, let's hop down that pipe and get into our spoiler-free section of our Super Mario movie review. So yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, it was.
It was indeed.
But one thing I really enjoyed that they did with it is that they leaned into the fact that it was a video game movie.
Yeah.
And they leaned into Mario's heritage specifically, extensively with the movie.
Yeah. This is probably the most relevant that Mario's background as a plumber has been in a very, very long time.
Super Mario 3D World had him doing plumbing briefly at the beginning of the game.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still haven't played that one.
It's literally about 5 seconds, but...
Yeah. I mean, presumably there's going to be sequels to this.
Yeah.
There's got to be a sequel to it.
But
with how successful the movie was, if they weren't planning a sequel, now they're planning a sequel.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a fair bit of origin story type stuff where showing the Mario brothers as plumbers in Brooklyn as they've originated.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a lot of people, like when the first trailers came out, they're like, "Oh my god, they made Mario such a doofus. Why is Princess Peach the only competent one in this movie?" It's like I had a feeling they were going for that kind of origin story. Like, this is his first time in the Mushroom Kingdom type thing, and they definitely went that route, which was good.
Yeah.
But also, like, all these people with their stupid Princess Peach hot takes, like, y'all, Princess Peach has been a badass in Super Mario Bros. 2. Get out of here.
Yeah. Best character in that game.
Yeah.
She's like a top tier character in Smash Bros.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
She had her own game on the DS, Super Princess Peach, all the way back in 2006.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a super good example. But
and she was great in the movie.
Yeah.
And she had already been Fire Princess Peach in Super Mario 3D World.
Yeah. It was good to see that she wasn't just like stuck in the damsel in distress role that
Yeah.
The non 3D World games and Super Mario Brothers 2 tend to place her in.
Yeah, it was interesting they picked Luigi to be the damsel in distress, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, I mean, it does suit his characterization post, like, Luigi's Mansion.
Post Luigi's Mansion, right, for sure, yeah.
There were definitely references to Luigi's Mansion, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. The scene where the dry bones start crawling out of the ground was, like, a bit intense, considering it's a kid's movie.
I love that they
was not
leaned
expecting
into it,
that. Yeah. Like, it wasn't bad at all. I've seen way worse in kids' movies, but...
Yeah. I've seen The Black Cauldron. There's worse kids' movies.
I've seen Coraline.
Yeah.
Well,
there's a fun story there.
Yeah. But no, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think they respected the audience a decent amount. I'm glad they weren't, like, over-explaining things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mushrooms make you bigger. That's just how it works. Didn't need any, like, lore behind that.
Yeah. Flat out, we're like, yeah, you just use a power-up. Those are things that exist here.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. My biggest criticism of the film just came from its pacing.
Yeah.
It really, really would have benefited from, like, an extra half an hour. Because a lot of those scenes really just kind of got rapid-fired.
Yes. Yeah, and it did... There was a lot of, like, hey, this is a thing from the game. Let's move on.
Yep.
Like, the Rainbow Road sequence wasn't that long.
Yeah. Yeah, the action scenes especially really could have benefited from some more... Just a little bit more time. Just because it's like you're seeing all these cool fights with all these power-ups and stuff. You just kind of made you want to see more. But
yeah.
I guess that's not really a bad problem to have when you just want more.
Yeah.
The story itself isn't gonna like move mountains or anything, but it's cohesive.
No.
It's cohesive enough that you understand where it goes from A to B.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah. It
The
was a
most
very
important-
fun movie.
Like watching that movie kind of felt like playing Mario for the first time. It's just fun.
Yeah.
And like because I took my girlfriend to see it the first weekend the movie was out. And that entire time I was watching that movie, I just had this stupid freaking grin from freaking ear to ear on my face that whole time. It was just so fun to watch that movie.
Yeah. It is very much like a Mario game. It's very easy to get into, and it was a lot of fun to just be a part of.
I'm interested to see how it will hold up on a rewatch for me. There's a lot of it where I was just kind of like, oh, this is funny, but not really like laughing out loud. I think you both laughed more next to me than I did. But I was enjoying myself. I was smiling. It's just there wasn't a lot of laugh out loud moments for me, but there were definitely some. It felt like the first Sonic movie for me. Like I was enjoying it because hey, this is a video game character, and he's got a good movie. But like, not many of these lines are like, "Holy cow, this is a great comedy movie." This is a good video game movie.
Yeah.
Sure glad we're finally getting those now.
Right?
Yeah.
We're not just getting them in the movies, we're getting them on TV as well, finally. Like,
yeah.
Finally we are at a point where the people making the games are the ones making the adaptations.
Yes.
Which is how it should have been from the beginning, but just in the early days of video game and video game adaptations, it was always an opportunity for Hollywood to make money first and foremost, and it wasn't a passion project of the creator like we got with the Mario movie, like we got with The Last of Us on HBO.
Yeah.
I mean, used to be more like Super Mario Brothers 93 that the directors had no interest in making a Mario movie.
I mean, that's also not to say we aren't still getting duds, because there was also the Halo series on Paramount Plus that we just don't talk about.
Where the writers for that proudly announced, "We've never played a Halo game before." Yeah, like video game movies traditionally have been very hit or miss, and like in the last few years, really kind of starting with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic really kicked it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
maybe also the Castlevania Netflix series too.
Yes,
that was also very well received.
Was pretty good.
Yeah,
but I feel like that one didn't do as good as Sonic, and somehow was like, because that leaned into Pokemon a lot more than Sonic leaned into Sonic. And I think that kind of helped Sonic because Sonic is kind of wild and maybe would pull people out of it.
Yeah.
But, Mario leaned into Mario, but I think because Mario is so everywhere, so
ubiquitously known.
It worked better.
Yeah.
Whereas Sonic's history has kind of been all over the place. Some people know Shadow, but they probably don't know his story anymore. Sonic's story has been told in so many different ways, whereas Mario has usually just pretty much been Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped this that Mario has been much more controlled than some of these other properties.
Yeah, Doom with Carl Urban and The Rock. It's not a good Doom movie, but it's a deep sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember liking that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, not as a Doom movie.
Yeah.
But like, it's a dumb sci-fi action flick.
Yeah.
And it's good at that.
Yeah. I had, at that point in time, no metric for what Doom was, because I hadn't played it the first time I'd seen that movie. But yeah, I enjoyed watching
come out
it.
like shortly around the time of Doom 3 as well.
I think so.
I think one of them influenced the other. I forget which did which though.
Yeah. But yeah, it was sure no Doom 1 or Doom 2.
Yeah. But before we get into...
the closest one to that could run to 60 miles an hour would probably be The Rock. But
yeah.
The Doom guy is fast.
Yeah. But before we get too deep into everything and start to transition over to the spoiler section, I do want to go through some of the cast members because they did a very good job, I felt.
Yeah.
Like, and certain cast members were absolutely the power star of the show, so to speak. But just right off the top, the one that people were probably most apprehensive about going into the movie, Chris Pratt as Mario. I thought he did a very good job.
I agree.
It was serviceable, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time you couldn't even tell it was Chris Pratt talking. Like, it was just the way he kind of hyped it up before the movie's like, oh man, this is like a Mario voice like no one has ever heard before. Just like the way that he would talk about his character and stuff, like leading up to it, is like, shut up, dude. But no, he did a good job. Like, and I'm not one of those people that has an issue with Chris Pratt. Like, I like him in Guardians of the, like, I like him in the films I've seen him in. So, I mean, yeah.
I wanted to mention,
because I love him as Star-Lord, okay?
Yeah.
Like, he's great as Star-Lord.
I don't think it's an accident that the guy that played a very boring, normal dude in the Lego movie also ended up being the guy to play Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is sort of supposed to be an everyman type character.
Yeah, like Mario doesn't really have too many personality traits, and it's like kind of hard to make that work. And I think they looked at the Lego movie and were like, that movie took that exact idea and made it work really, really well. But I will say Chris Pratt's Mario, as it was characterized by the writing and even just his design, does not feel like game Mario.
No, he has no butt.
Yeah.
I mean...
Remember what they took from us.
Remember what they took from us.
All right. Well. I'm talking about doesn't feel like Mario, and you're talking about his butt. All right.
Talking about feeling Mario.
Nothing there to feel.
They turned Mario into Hank Hill.
Whoa!
I don't know. Just like Mario doesn't have that much interesting going on in his games. Even the RPGs, he's mostly just jumping. He's sort of like an extension of the player, like Link. And the characters around him do stuff. But here he was an actual character, which I was kind of surprised by that Nintendo let them do that. But I liked it. I'm glad they did that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how else they would have done it.
Yeah, Mario's very much a blank slate personality in the games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I could see Charles Martinet delivering these lines in the same way that Chris Pratt did.
which is not a slight against Charles Martinet.
No,
to be clear.
no.
The lines he delivered good.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Charles
we will get
Martinet was in here.
we will get into his roles in the spoiler section because it's kind of a surprise. You'll pick up if you have the ear for it, you'll pick up on it, but I do kind of want to leave that as a surprise for people that because I think he has some really special roles in the film.
Definitely.
But Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach. I am not at all familiar with her work, but she did a phenomenal job as Princess Peach.
Yeah.
Absolutely no complaints there. She did great. Again, Peach was a great character in the film.
She was in The Northman and Split.
I think there's also
with either of those.
I think there's also a Netflix series.
The Queen's Gambit.
Yeah,
Yes.
that one. That's the one I've heard of. I haven't watched it though. But yeah, Charlie Day as Luigi was great.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Loved
I do not think they could have picked a better actor for like Luigi's cowardly persona. Like,
Yeah.
he just played into it so well.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, I love Charlie Day. He's so good. He was great. It's like every time they needed the cowardly Luigi, he was there.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And then Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I didn't think he was bad. I mean, it was Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I mean, it wasn't bad.
I forgot that was Seth Rogen.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad. I didn't have any complaints with his voice.
Honestly,
it was just him.
the way that Seth Rogen voiced Donkey Kong almost makes me wish that it was like John C. Reilly voicing him instead, because it was almost like, at least to me, it sounded like Seth Rogen was trying to play John C. Reilly playing Donkey Kong.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. DK just didn't really stand out in the movie that much. There was one line that I'll get into, hopefully in the spoilers section, that thought they were going to get into it, but that they were going to do something more with him, but then that never got brought up again, so kind of a disappointment there. Maybe it was in a deleted scene or something.
Yeah, there was another scene, or potential for another scene with Donkey Kong later on in the film that they could have leaned into if they had a little bit more time. That would have been cool to see, but we'll get into that later. And move on to Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I think he was another highlight because holy crap, Toad was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just from the very beginning. Just no, that's a mushroom, you die! Oh, no, wait. No, this is fine. My bad.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, all around solid performance.
Going on an adventure. Yeah, he was good. Just Toad in general is great.
Yeah. It's like the ultimate wingman.
Yeah.
Yes.
There were so many
good
great
description. Yes.
Yeah. Like
there were.
If you need him to do it, he'll be the guy that pulls up in like a Gen 3 Camaro with mismatched doors and missing T-tops, and he'll just stand next to you out in front of it and say hell yeah to everything you say.
Oh my god. Yeah. There were some really good Toad moments in the movie as well.
Yeah.
But perhaps the best for last. You may notice, if you are familiar with the cast list as far as the big stars go, we haven't talked about one of them yet. And that's because he was perhaps the star himself.
Yeah.
Because Jack Black as Bowser.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Everything about the way he played that character, I love the way that they animated Bowser like Jack Black, because Bowser just had a lot of his facial expressions built into his animation.
Who's playing who? Perhaps it was Bowser who's been trying to play Jack Black this whole time.
Perhaps.
They did certainly change up his 3D model quite a bit. Like his eyes don't move like Bowser's do in the game. But I think that's mostly just for like expression.
Yeah.
Which was very good with Jack Black voicing him. I still think my favorite line in the movie with him was the trailer line of the "I do not yield."
I do not.
Yeah. That bit.
That was but a taste of our fury. Do you yield?
I do not.
Yeah. Oh my god, he was so good.
Yeah.
Like, and even leading up to the film, just watching Jack Black hype it up, like you could tell he was so excited to be Bowser.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody hypes like Jack Black hypes.
He was showing up to interviews in like full Bowser costume attire.
Yeah. Well, he went to the red carpet showing of the film with like sport jacket with like spikes on the back like Bowser.
Yeah.
Like a shell.
Well, a bunch of the cast did that too with their characters. I'm pretty sure. I thought I saw Anya Taylor-Joy in a Princess Peach dress.
I think Chris Pratt just went as regular guy.
Shame.
I'm not surprised.
Mario is should have went as Luigi, but it's his character from It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Can see Luigi standing in front of a pegboard with a bunch of string spouting conspiracies.
Yeah.
It's like, Mario, we can't go in this mansion. Here's all the reasons.
I'm telling you, you don't want to go there. But every single time the film cut to Bowser, it was just so good.
Yeah. Peaches.
Yeah. If you know, you know.
And if you don't know, then you'll know once you listen to the spoiler section.
Before we get into the spoiler section, I just want to get one last thing in here. From looking up stuff on this movie, if you type in Super Mario Bros. Movie into Google, it pops up with a bunch of information and showtimes and stuff for it. But there's also a little question mark block that's animated, a little GIF.
Yeah.
And if you click it, it makes a coin.
Nice.
Very cool.
Oh, no way.
Like
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Makes a coin noise. It's great.
That's awesome. Yeah. But anyway, do we have any final general thoughts on the movie before we enter spoiler zone?
I still am upset that it's good.
Yeah, I know. As the Sonic fan, you were probably just like, "Oh, please don't be good. Please don't be
Yeah, pretty
Come
much.
on, Sonic has to stay the best."
Exactly.
Yeah. I think as far as just being like straight faithful to the source material, I think the Mario Bros. Movie definitely sits above. But just as overall films, I still think the Sonic films are at least at an equal level.
Okay.
Like I still like I still enjoyed this, got just as much enjoyment out of the Sonic films as I got out of this one, I guess is one way of saying it. Like,
yeah,
but
if I'm being objective, I'd say this movie is better than the first Sonic movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Sonic 2 is
just what they did with what they did once they introduced Knuckles into the cast with the second Sonic movie. It's just like,
yeah, that was better storytelling, maybe.
Yeah.
In some ways, like I wish the humans weren't in the Sonic movies, and that's something this movie doesn't suffer from as much.
Right. Yep.
Like there is a little bit of that, but it's very downplayed.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in the spoiler section, I guess. I guess that's a spoiler.
Yeah, I guess like with Sonic 2 specifically, there was, aside from one very, very significant section in the film, in the like middle of the film, a good majority of that film was just like Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles and Eggman. So
yeah, Jim Carrey,
the only human in that movie that matters.
Yep.
Yes.
But anyway, shall we open the? Hold on. Open the gates or die. Into spoiler zone.
Sounds good.
Spoiler zone, Act 1. Down the pipe. You have entered the spoiler zone. Warning. Everything ahead of here will be considered spoilers for the Super Mario Bros. Movie. If you do not wish to be spoiled, you may pause and click the timestamps included below to skip forward past this segment. Beware, this is your final warning. You have entered the spoiler zone. Yeah, we're in spoiler zone now.
Yeah.
Yep. Peaches.
Peaches was a good song.
Peaches.
Peaches.
I like that Jack Black can sing in real life, but that wasn't very good singing in the movie.
What? No, it was great. It was It was intentionally raw and so good.
I mean,
it was weird because some of it. It was just weird because some of it was like pitch shifted to be in Bowser's register, and then some of it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because like when he goes into the peaches, that was his natural voice.
Right.
At least it sounded more like it. It was weird, but it's so good. It's kind of funny because that song's eligible for a Grammy. I really hope it wins.
Please.
Wait, would it be an Oscar?
Oscar, yeah. That.
Yeah.
One of those stupid awards that don't mean anything unless something that you care about wins it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that like Bowser's main motivation was like a big play on the plot from Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
Where he just wants to marry Peach. That's his whole reason for doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Super Mario movie is a love triangle movie.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Bowser's like the jealous guy. He's like when he's interrogating Luigi, he's like, "Do princesses find him attractive?" He's like, "They do if they have good taste."
So good.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was one of the ones that got a full laugh out of me.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my god. The first scene of like Bowser revealing his grand scheme is like pans over. It's like this huge party, and there's like a metal band of like dry bones playing on stage.
Yeah.
He's like, Bowser's like, "I finally have the star, and with it, I will ask Princess Peach to marry me." And then everyone's like,
just stops.
they're just like, yeah, they're like,
crickets.
Yeah, it's like, marry him? And then the one guy's like, what if she says no?
Then we'll destroy the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh man, but first he blasts him with a flamethrower.
Yep.
Congratulations, you now are a dry bones.
Yep.
Oh man, like,
yeah.
There's just so many cool things. Like the beginning of the movie with the commercial.
Yeah.
And then it pans out to them watching the commercial for the first time, and to their right is this guy dressed up like the original Jumpman arcade sprite.
Giuseppe.
Yes.
His name is Giuseppe. He is one of the characters voiced by Charles Martinet.
And he's also playing Donkey Kong on arcade.
Yep. Or Jumpman, as it's referred to. In
yes.
Because it's not explicitly a Donkey Kong machine.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yep. And also, so he kind of voices Mario's forefather in that regard, because Jumpman was the early concept for Mario back in the day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he also voices Mario's dad in the film.
Yeah.
So everyone worried about Charles Martinet kind of getting the shaft with this movie. I think they really did good for him. They gave him the opportunity to do the voice with Giuseppe. And then they also gave him the part of like Mario's father, which Martinet is the father of like what we associate with Mario. Yep.
He's been the voice of Mario longer than I have been alive. So like Charles Martinet is the voice of Mario as far as I'm concerned. And,
I think they did good by him in the film for sure. Like not just like giving them like just random throwaway roles to say, hey, we had him do cameos in here, but I mean, I guess Giuseppe is not necessarily a throwaway role, but he's just kind of there to do the woohoo thing. And but playing Mario's dad especially was really good.
Yeah. Well, while we're talking about that scene, seeing Foreman Spike having Wrecking Crew patches on his work uniform was a nice nod to another early Mario-related game. Y'all ever played Wrecking Crew?
No.
Nope.
It's a lot of fun.
Huh.
It's almost sort of a puzzle platformer, because you gotta bring the building down, but be specific about how you do it, or otherwise you might get crushed or stuck.
I'm gonna wreck it.
I'm gonna wreck it.
That was also a fun game. If you ever went to the Disney site when Wreck-It Ralph was released, they had a Fix-It Felix Jr. arcade game.
Nice.
Oh, dang it. I missed that. I tried getting it on the phone. It might still be up. Okay, I gotta screw the podcast. I'm playing Wreck-It Ralph now.
But, yeah, and then, like, you see the name of the pizzeria that they were in?
Yeah.
The Punch-Out Pizzeria.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. During that first shot, after they start panning down after watching the Super Mario Brothers plumbing commercial, it kind of zooms out and you can actually see all of the pictures of Punch-Out boxers on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah. I loved when Mario and Luigi first, like after the commercial, and Spike confronts them, and Luigi's like, "Yeah, we got a call from our mom, wishing us good luck, boys." And then he drops his phone like mic drop style, and it lands face down on the floor.
Yeah,
and they just like look at it, and they're like, "Okay, anyway."
Yeah, they just move on. Not to mention they just destroyed a smartphone.
Yeah.
That just reminds me of this time way back in the day when we were working together. Lucas's wife, she just got a new phone case for her phone, and it was supposed to be weighted so that way no matter how you drop it, the phone is always supposed to land case side down.
Yep.
So she was demonstrating to us one day at work. And she dropped her phone and it just went straight down, screen down onto the hard floor and just destroyed it.
Yeah.
Like, Luigi dropping his phone just reminded me of that. I couldn't help but laugh. I was like, oh my God. And then they get an actual business call, and the ringtone is the GameCube startup chime.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, now I kind of want that as a ringtone.
Be a good ringtone.
Yeah.
It would be.
It's a lot better than the generic Apple, you just bought a new iPhone ringtone.
Marimba. something of a classic at this point, but also like the fact that people don't change their ringtone to
like every Hollywood movie ever
Yep.
uses that ringtone whenever a phone call happens. It's like, oh my god, change your ringtone, please. It's not hard. Takes 5 seconds. I guess I shouldn't talk. I'm still using the stock ringtone on my Pixel.
Yeah.
But it's better than the iPhone ringtone because it's not the iPhone ringtone.
I think Neal would probably beg to differ, but
it's just so generic.
The iPhone ringtone? Yeah, it's super generic.
I wouldn't find it as bad if like it wasn't in every single movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that's what really kills it. It's just like that's where you just hear it constantly in media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
If they'd at least like do different iPhone ringtones, that wouldn't be nearly as bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of Spike, I liked the bit at the very end of the movie where they're invincible after getting the star and they're back in Brooklyn, and Luigi happens to walk by Spike and he's just like, "Hi Spike, how you doing?" Spike is like collapsed on the ground with like a piece of cement on him or something.
Yeah.
Luigi. Yeah, in that right before that scene though, when it would have been cool because you see as Mario's kind of sitting in the diner all defeated and stuff, you see Peach and Donkey Kong running past the diner to go fight with Bowser. It would have been cool to actually see some of that fight while Mario's just kind of sitting there delirious. Especially because Bowser and Donkey Kong are always kind of like at opposed of each other as like the two big heavyweights in the overall
I feel like
Mario franchise.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a cool battle, but at the same time, I think it would kill the structure of the story they're telling right there. Because that's the moment of Mario going, I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved when they're going to Peach's castle for the first time. And you get to see, like Mario going through the pipes. He gets to the very top and he just flails out of it like a fish out of water, just like flops onto the ground and rolls over himself.
Yeah, it starts out with, hey, these are some nice pipes, and then later is like, I don't want anything to do with a pipe right now.
Yeah. Then they get up to the castle door and there's the two toads there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the classic line, guards. They were the ones to deliver the "Your princess is in another castle" line, and it was perfect. They're like, what? Oh, that princess. Yeah, she's in another castle. She's not in this one. No.
Yeah.
You have to go to that other castle. You'll find her there. Maybe. I mean, she might be gone from that one too by the time you get there, but
yeah.
And then Toad just whips out a frying pan and he goes looking like he's gonna throw down with them. And then all of a sudden he just slaps it down on a freaking like fire and starts
Suddenly
cooking
there's
for
a
him.
Fire there.
Suddenly there's a fire there. And he's like, hey, so what do you guys want to eat?
Yeah.
And that's
then they're totally distracted, so Mario goes in.
Yep.
And then Mario salutes to the two guys inside the door and they salute him. And they're like, wait a minute. And start chasing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely did like the cartoon logic that was in this movie.
Yeah.
They didn't lean a ton into it, but especially with the toads.
Yeah. How are we gonna fight? Look at us, we're adorable. I thought it was really funny as Toad was parading Mario through the town area, where like you stop and like all of them would just kind of stop and gawk at Mario because they haven't seen another human before outside of Peach.
Yeah.
So they're just like, oh, and then it's like especially the one that drops the coin and Mario picks it up and hands it back to him, and he's just like looking up at him like, a human. I like the antique shop. Did you guys catch the line at the antique shop?
Yes, I did.
It's like, does this even work? He's like, yeah, you just got blow on it. It's really old. Yeah, it just works fine. You just gotta blow on it.
Yep.
That was a great callback to the old school cartridges.
Yes. Did you ever actually do that to your cartridges?
Oh yeah.
All the
I still
time.
do. I still do.
Does it actually work? Is there
No.
proof? Okay.
It potentially even makes it worse because like your breath can add moisture to the content.
Yeah.
But we still do it anyway.
We still do it anyway. It's the placebo effect. I mean,
Yeah.
really,
It definitely works on computer programs.
Yeah. I mean, really, you could probably what you are doing could probably just be accomplished by simply just the act of reseating the cartridge. Really,
yeah. That's more likely what fixes it.
Is what fixes it.
Yeah.
But you gotta blow it out first just to make sure.
Yeah.
Because you know that dust is gonna get jammed on the cartridge when it's slotted into the cartridge slot. You know, that dust, it just kind of crawls up into that tight crevice like that, and you know. Sometimes you just gotta blow it out. I think I blow out the cartridge port in my consoles a lot more often than I do the cartridges themselves, though.
Yeah.
Especially my Super Nintendo. But I think
weird. That has a dust cover.
Yeah, it is weird. But I think it's partially because the cartridge port is kind of getting a little old.
Yeah.
This is not my original Super Nintendo, though. It's one of the other ones I have inherited over the years.
Yeah.
So I would not feel bad about replacing the cartridge port in that. I might do that at some point in the near future, just to have it done.
Yeah, I mean, a Rosario sitting next to me is on its third motherboard, so...
Yikes.
But it's still, at least, I would consider it to still be my original Presario.
I think
I love this computer. It's alive forever.
Oh, man. What'd you guys think of the training montage?
It was all right.
Yeah.
I think the music was a little bit of a detractor for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was picturing Shrek 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. I Need a Hero is a good song, but it felt kind of out of place in a Mario movie.
I think the only song that the only like licensed track that really worked was No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And that's just because they were in Brooklyn. It just made sense.
Yeah.
And I love the way that the scene that it played over also, because it like panned out to a side scroller kind of perspective.
Yeah.
And just like, I love how Mario was all nimble going through it all, and then he'd had to backtrack to open things up and put things in place for Luigi, who was all clumsy.
Yeah.
And then
it's fun to see Mario do some proper platforming.
Yeah. And then at the end of it, when he swings down the lamppost, I missed it in my first watch, but I caught it in the second one. He swings down the lamppost right in front of Castle Pizzeria.
Yeah.
Take on Me was the one that I felt was
that
the
one
worst.
Too. Yeah.
That was like weird. Like, I get they were on carts, so Take on Me had a music video with racing cars, so I guess there's a connection.
Yeah,
but it took me so out of the movie.
It did not fit the scene at all.
Yeah,
it did not.
It was kind of like
I would have loved any Donkey Kong music there.
Here's the thing with Take on Me, just randomly over the last probably 6 or 7 years have had this huge influx of popularity.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just everywhere, whether it fits or not. And it's really irritating. Because there was a trailer for The Last of Us HBO series that just randomly had Take on Me in it. And granted, they did a more epic movie trailer kind of orchestral version of it.
Ready Player One version.
But at the same time, it's just where the hell in The Last of Us does Take on Me make sense?
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't actually in the show, because that trailer was awful. But yeah, just Take On Me in the Mario movie as well. It was just like, and then later on they had Thunderstruck, and at that point it was just like they're really just running down the list of the most popular generic licensed tracks that you could throw in here, huh?
Yeah. It is an Illumination movie, so really we shouldn't be surprised. But...
Yeah,
true.
I mean, Thunderstruck didn't feel too out of place considering they were like gearing up to go on an invasion with the carts and stuff. But like,
yeah.
I vaguely remember reading something on Twitter that there actually was supposed to be a Donkey Kong medley somewhere in place of the Take On Me montage.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, a lot of the licensed songs, I believe, were kind of substituted in there for where they would have had their own kind of original medley for the movie itself. That almost feels like I've heard people refer to it as that kind of feeling like it's like the Hollywood influence sort of thing. It's like
it's the corporate execs saying, "Hey, this doesn't have enough music that kids are gonna like."
Yeah, like the Hollywood guys getting in there and be like, you should put that AC/DC song right there. People might like that. And it's like, this is Hollywood.
The parents will like that better than the video game music they grew up with.
The parents of the kids taking their kids to this movie will probably appreciate the music their parents listened to more than the music from the games they played growing up, right?
Right. The
music we listened to.
The music was the highlight of the film, though. Like, they could have done so much.
It's such a weird mismatch because, like, there's the licensed music, and that's like kind of hit or miss depending on the scene. But then, like, the original compositions of like the orchestral scoring and stuff is fantastic.
Whoever did the monumental task of arranging all of these themes from all throughout the history of Mario and even some Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And combining them into a cohesive score like they did, just like sprinkling stuff in here and there where you get that little that little Leonardo DiCaprio sitting back pointing at the screen type thing. It's like, I recognize that part of that little jingle.
Yeah.
Yes. Brian Tyler is the name of the producer that did it.
Freaking genius.
Yeah.
That man deserves whatever relevant award he could possibly get for that because just absolutely phenomenal job with the scoring in the film. And it's only brought down by the shoehorned in licensed songs.
Yeah. I feel like Sonic did a better job with the licensed music.
Yeah.
There wasn't as much of it and it fit better. Because Sonic already has a lot of rock influences.
Well, the music, the licensed songs in the Sonic films felt like they felt attached to Sonic in a way.
Right. Like, Don't Stop Me Now is perfect for Sonic. I was literally going to make a sprite animation with Sonic to that song until that movie came out, and I was like, well, now I would just be stealing the idea from the movie. But like, that song is perfect for Sonic.
But like, where with most of the licensed songs in this one, it's just like, that's a licensed song that's pretty popular. Let's toss it in there.
Yeah.
But the Donkey Kong scene, when they first get to the Jungle Kingdom and they open the door and there's the blonde gorilla there.
Yeah.
That gorilla's wearing a sport jacket. Toad's like, I feel so underdressed. But no, then they go and then he gets out the car. He flips on his shades and gets in the cart, and then Take On Me starts. But if you paid attention to the beginning of the film where Giuseppe was playing that Jumpman cabinet, on the side of the cabinet was a blonde Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
So I think that was that gorilla that greeted them at the start of Jungle Kingdom. And then they got to the fight with Donkey Kong, and I think that was probably my favorite part of the movie, next to the Mario Kart, like that and the Mario Kart segment were probably my favorite parts of the entire movie.
I don't know.
I loved the references to like the original Donkey Kong game with like the steel girders that they were fighting on.
Yeah.
And just watching him beat the ever living daylights out of Mario.
Yeah.
And then there was Diddy and Trixie Kong in there too.
Yeah.
And they're all cheering. They're like, DK! And then the song stops. Everybody stops. And Diddy's still like, DK, DK! And Craigie Kong's like, I made you too, Diddy Kong!
Yep.
He's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, that kart scene gave me some bad flashbacks to Dino Dino Jungle and Mario Kart Double Dash. It's killed so many all-cup tours for me.
But like the kart selection though, where it was like ripped straight out of Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, it was.
That was so cool.
The littler choices were the same images as Mario Kart 8, and they were in the same order.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then Toad rolls up in this big friggin' monster truck. Mario's got his basic cart. Peach has got the crotch rocket, and Toad's got this big, huge freaking mud runner.
Yep.
And somehow sunglasses.
Yeah.
Cartoon logic once again.
Yep. With the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every lifted truck comes with a free pair of pit vipers. But yeah, that's the vehicle with which he rolls up to be your wingman and just constantly say, hell yeah, to everything you say.
Right?
So, I mentioned this earlier in the non-spoiler section. There is a line that I was really hoping they'd follow up on that Donkey Kong says. It's after the Rainbow Road sequence. Mario and Donkey Kong fall into the ocean, and they get eaten by a fish.
The big old moray eel from Super Mario 64.
I was wondering where that was from.
Okay.
It also makes an appearance in one of the areas in Super Mario Sunshine. You actually have to like deep dive down to the bottom of the ocean and spray its teeth with water to clean it.
Right. That's a weird game. Anyway, that aside,
fun game.
There's a bit where they're arguing back and forth and kind of like commiserating together, and Mario says, "My dad isn't proud of me," and Donkey Kong says, "I am more than just a guy who smashes things." I thought that was going to be like a mini character arc where like there's going to be some other like thing that he does, but it's never followed up on, and that is something I hope there's a deleted scene out there that like comes up with that, because I was like, hey, there's some 3D qualities in this, very much a side character in this plot.
Yeah,
but like they don't even expound on it, even with one other line.
Yeah, he mostly just with smashing stuff for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Cranky Kong gave him some praise for smashing stuff even, and he seemed happy about it, so like, I guess it doesn't bother him that much or something. Is anyone else bothered that the Super Leaf turned Mario into full-on Tanuki Mario, or is that just a nitpicky Lucas thing? So many
Sounds like a nitpicky Lucas thing.
Brothers 3.
That's how it worked in Super Mario Land, though, right? Or Super Mario 3D Land? The one on the 3DS.
Huh. Yep, that sounds like a weird nitpicky Lucas
Yeah,
thing.
I think that's a weird nitpicky Lucas thing.
No, but it's how it worked in the most recent game that the Tanuki Leaf was in. So it's still faithful to the games. Your nitpick is with Super Mario 3D Land.
Back in my day, the Tanuki suit was an entirely separate power-up.
Get out of here, Dad.
Okay, Grandpa, time to take your meds.
Yep. Is there any power-ups you were disappointed that didn't show up in the movie?
I would have liked to see them actually do the cape as opposed to just referencing it in the commercial at the start.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
That was some peak budget commercial filming, though.
It was. It was so good.
Yep.
Did Mario ever actually turn into Fire Mario?
No.
No.
He was going to grab a fire flower during the fight with Donkey Kong, and he blew it out.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. That's
Yeah,
just
like
everyone else got the fire flower.
Yeah.
Peach got one. Donkey Kong got one.
Yeah.
Fire Donkey Kong was cool.
Yeah.
And then when they're running at the end, Mario gets hit by the shell and Donkey Kong starts laughing at him, and then it comes and hits him too.
Yep.
Oh, it was great. Then that's when Mario gets the Tanuki suit.
Yep.
I liked that the little hovercraft that all of the Koopas were flying in to like pick up all the people when they were grabbing them after the Mario Kart scene. Those were like the little craft that they use in Super Mario World for like some of the bosses, and then Bowser as well.
You mean the clown car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever those things are, like with
they're clown cars.
Yeah, I don't know if they're clown cars or whatever, but yeah. It's like, hey. I mean, this whole movie was like, hey, this is from that game. But those were from Super Mario World. And I was happy.
I'm fairly certain that like dirigible that the Shy Guys in the Sniffet that captured Luigi was also a reference to something. I just can't put my finger on what.
Oh my god. Speaking of when he finally gets into the castle and he sits down, breathes a sigh of relief, and there's just that flash of light with all the Shy Guys behind him, and that's it.
Hard cut.
Yep.
Oh, it's perfect. Oh my god. It would have been fun. They kind of set it up for him to be captured there at that point, but it kind of would have been fun to see Luigi kind of squirming through that castle with a flashlight before they actually grabbed him. Because that was... I wish Luigi had a little bit more screen time.
Yeah, me too.
It was just kind of like they got to the Mushroom Kingdom, and then they had that one scene where he was running, and then he was captured, and he spent most of the movie in that cage.
Yeah. Hey, can we talk about the Luma?
Yes!
Absolutely.
The only freedom is the sweet release of death.
Well, you
better than Bowser, honestly, in my book.
It was so good. The Luma was so good. It's like, would you please shut him up? We're already depressed enough.
I don't have much to say other than like he had so many good lines.
Yeah.
Just bizarre. Out of nowhere, there's just a Luma who's like super dark.
Yeah. It's like one of the most bright and cheerful creatures in the Mario universe, and it's just spouting morbidly depressing lines. And it was hilarious.
Whoever came up with that character needs a raise.
Yeah.
I just love how it had this like really innocent child voice.
Yeah.
That just made it even better.
Yeah. Also, Lumas exists, so I guess Rosalina's out there in space somewhere.
Oh, they're definitely going to bring Rosalina in.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to do a... Because they didn't tease it. Are they going to do like a Nintendo cinematic universe type thing?
God, I hope not. Like,
it might be too disparate between all the different games they have.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine
honestly, just trying to cover all of the Mario stuff would be a challenge on its own.
Can you imagine if they made a game where they brought all the different Mario and Nintendo franchises together into one? That would be so strange.
Yeah.
So they could do it. I don't know if it'd work as a movie.
Don't get me wrong. I absolutely want all of the Nintendo movies. But I do not want them to have that like connection binding them all.
Right.
Like an MCU film does. Like, I don't want to go see The Legend of Zelda, the movie, and stay for the post-credits scene, and it's Samus arriving in Hyrule. Like,
Yeah.
It's just keep these movies separate. We don't need Super Smash Bros. The movie. Please. Smash Bros. Itself is already so far beyond Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
Yeah.
And they can do a Sonic crossover.
The Sonic crossover would be fun.
It'll be great. They could go to the Olympics.
Yeah, they can go to the Olympics. But
that'd be weird. And like Mario comes to the Sonic universe and he's like, yeah, these humans have this cool thing called the Olympics.
It'll be great. They could remake Munich, but with Mario and Sonic characters.
No, I just I hate the idea now. Like I like the MCU, at least to a point.
Yep.
Like the modern era stuff. The TV shows have generally been good, but I haven't really hit with the movies as much. The last like ever since Endgame, it's all been hit and miss.
Yeah.
But like I hate the idea that everything has to have this like connected multiverse now.
Yeah. Literally nothing besides Marvel has done it well, and now Marvel is not doing it well either.
Yeah. Let things be separate again. Let them stand on their own merits. It is possible to do that.
Yeah.
These games have done that for 40 years. They can do it in films too.
Yeah.
Let's step off that soapbox now. But yeah. What other things do we have to... What haven't we chatted about? Yeah, anything else you wanted to bring up?
Bob.
What was the end credits scene?
Oh, yeah. Well, we had this
two.
conversation yesterday. Apparently, like I didn't know that films still do like after like the full black screen credits. That there's an additional one back there. So when I saw the movie with my girlfriend, I just left after the first post-credit scene.
Yep.
Which
was what? I don't remember either.
That was the first one was Bowser singing Peaches again.
Yep.
And then one of the toads walks in the room and you see he's still shrunken by the blue mushroom just sitting in the bird cage. And the toad's like, hey, shut up in here and go to sleep. And he jumps up in the cage like, do you know who I am?
Yep.
Oh, yes. I just remember the poster. Yep.
And then the actual post credit scene was down in the sewer area where Mario and Luigi first got transported into the Mushroom Kingdom from Brooklyn. There's a little green and white egg sitting there that came through the pipe somehow. And then it begins to hatch and the screen cuts to black and all you hear is Yoshi!
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
See you next game.
Yep.
I wonder if they will call the next movie the Super Mario World movie. And
that would be pretty good.
About
Dinosaur Land.
Dinosaur Land with
Didn't they go through
Yoshi?
Dinosaur Land?
I think they might have referenced it.
Yeah, there's just a brief scene where they're traveling through DK jungle.
Yeah, because
there's
a little
Mario.
Scene where he grabs the little fruit that the Yoshi's like, and then the Yoshi looks up and he licks his lips. He's like, no, I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like a whole parade of Yoshis in the background going by.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a weird thing to do.
Yeah. Did you guys, when they were discussing their plan to confront Bowser after they got the Kong army, and they were in that room with the map on the wall, did you see like how the map was laid out, like the Super Mario World overworld map?
Sort of.
Kind of looked like that.
It was definitely in the style of it. But
yeah, that's what I meant. It wasn't like literally the Super Mario World overworld map. It was in the style of it.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Would have been cooler if it was the Super Mario World map. But...
Would have been. Would have been. Maybe we'll get that in the sequel.
Yep.
I mean, it's not likely, but you know.
Yeah.
There will absolutely be a second movie.
Yeah.
There's no way they can just... Okay.
It's grossed $500 million. They'd be stupid not to.
The movie only cost them $100 million to make.
So they've gotten a 500% return on investment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
There's no way they don't make another.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got the sequel and whatever other Nintendo film they decide to do, and the next one.
Illumination
easily.
is really good at making very profitable films for very cheap budgets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised they made it for so cheap. And obviously this is going to be even more popular than pretty much anything they do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know about that. Minions are pretty popular, but
Yeah.
there's stuff besides that, besides the Despicable Me. This has more of a stake in a lot of other people outside the animation or kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, very, very good movie. It's definitely a good sign for things to come as far as adaptations of video games go, I think. Because I think a lot of them going forward are really going to be looking at the Mario movie as far as films are concerned, and they're going to be looking at The Last of Us as far as TV shows are concerned.
Yes.
So I think going forward, we're really going to start to see some really good ones come out. I just hope they don't oversaturate everything with it, because like now that kind of comic book adaptations have run their course, it's like video games only seem like the next natural best thing from that.
Video game, comic book.
Video game, comic book adaptations.
Yeah. I want that.
I mean, that would be pretty cool. I mean, there's like some Mass Effect comics that would be sweet as movies.
Yeah, Sonic.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool to have a Mass Effect movie.
Mega Man.
I would love
Mega
a Mass
Man.
Effect movie, actually.
I don't think Archie still has the rights to Mega Man.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that would be really good.
Yeah. Sonic Mega Man Worlds Collide movie when?
Archie definitely does not have the rights to Sonic.
But anyway, let's jump on down that pipe once more and get on to our weekly link to the past. And our weekly link to the past for this week, releasing on... wasn't really anything exciting for the date of recording like we usually do. So we're going to be doing on the date of release for this podcast of April 18th, 2023. The game Portal 2 is 12 years old, releasing on this day in 2011. Happy birthday, Portal 2! The sequel to like one of the just undisputably best puzzle games ever made.
Yeah. It's genius.
It's not even like... It's not even close. Like, Portal is just it's just flawless in its design. It's so innovative what they were able to... Well, it's
I've seen enough Portal speedruns to know the design.
Okay, but they are very, very literally trying to break the game intentionally.
Yeah.
It's broken.
The weird thing is that Portal 2, to my knowledge, isn't nearly as broken like that. But
no, it's not. I am aware of that.
They actually kind of have to play that one normally.
But it's just one of the best puzzle games of all. It's so good.
Yeah.
It just... The way that they were able to get the Portal technology to work in general.
Yes.
Especially at the point in time that the game released is just absolutely impressive.
Also, Portal 2 had space.
And the Space Core that loved space.
Also had a co-op mode.
Yeah. I haven't actually ever played the co-op mode. I've
I
gotten
have
very
not
far in
played
Portal 2.
Portal 2 at all. I think
probably fix that sometime.
Yeah. Have you played Portal 2?
I have not. I was in the room where Portal 2 was being played. It was at our friend JJ's birthday party, like, back in my senior year of high school. I guess they would have been sophomore year at that point.
Probably. You were 2 years ahead of us?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would have been sophomore year for us.
Yeah. But yeah, she got a copy of Portal 2 for birthday, and it's like we as a group started, or I think it was JJ playing, and everyone was contributing puzzle input for how to solve things, and got a good chunk of the way through the game. I think we got up to, let's say, like the 4th or 5th room after finding GLaDOS again, after she gets strapped to a potato.
Interestingly, Cave Johnson, the CEO of Aperture Science, is voiced by J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
That's
pretty
right.
cool.
Mike Patton from Mr. Bungle and Faith No More voices the Anger Core in Portal 1.
Yeah, I really gotta play Portal 2.
I
We gotta
just-
co-op it sometime. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
We also all have to play Left 4 Dead together sometime.
Yeah.
Because that would also be really fun.
Yeah. Left 3 Dead.
Valve, you just make amazing games and then you just stop making games.
They're afraid of the
Why-
number 3.
Why you do this?
Yep.
What if they made a game that was like a combination of all their games and they just titled it 3?
Yeah, I've heard that as a potential option for them. Because Half-Life 3, Left 4 Dead 3, Portal 3.
Just
They
like
also seem to make like tech demos for spin-offs of their franchises. Because they did the VR Half-Life and the
Yep.
what was it?
Alex, Aperture Desk Job for
Yes,
Mhm.
Steam Deck.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Portal 2.
yeah.
Now, I think this is the part where we move on to the outro sequence portion of the podcast. I don't know why I'm talking like this. There must be an error in my programming. Ha 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 ha. Come with us to the end of this episode. There will be cake. Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 25. Guys, we've done 1/4 already.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Anyway, to the listeners, have you guys seen the Mario movie yet? Where does it stack up amongst video game adaptations for you? You can email the podcast directly with your answers at fans.togp@gmail.com and let us know, as well as ask any other questions you may have, and we may read and respond to it on a future episode. Lucas, where can they find you outside the podcast?
Find me on YouTube at Carn-Evil9, that one gaming podcast. I upload long plays of the games we feature in our long-running That One Game series. You can also find me on Twitter if you like to see what the Iron Cheek is getting mad at Carn_Evil_999.
All right. And what about Neal?
You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/@VMK9. I don't post there super often, but I do sometimes. I also am on Twitter at IamVMK9. And I am most frequently on Twitch. You can find my streams Minecraft Monday, and then I do Thursday night streams. I'm thinking about changing it up potentially, but at the moment it's currently a bunch of video editing, just 2 hours of video editing with stuff for the podcast on the YouTube channel, which should be the previous episode should be on YouTube on Delicious Morsels channel, Colin. That should be on YouTube as soon as this episode goes live. So if you haven't listened to it already and you want to go out of your podcast app and listen to it on YouTube, go ahead. I did a new intro to the music. It's nothing amazing, but it was something. But yeah, I also do Minecraft Monday, and that's twitch.tv/VMK9.
All right. And as for myself, if you are watching/listening on YouTube, you're already in the right place. That is youtube.com/deliciousmorsels. You can also find me on Twitter at deliciousmorsel. And also, all of the music that I record and release for our That One Game series of episodes can be found on all streaming platforms. I've got links below in the description for Apple Music and Spotify specifically, but you can also just search me up and find me on all the other ones as well if you use those weird obscure ones like Strange People. And as always, if you liked what you heard here today on this episode, please be sure to hit the subscribe button where that's an option. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts because I hear they like that stuff. Hit the like button if that's a thing, and feel free to share this episode with a friend. We're going to be back in a couple weeks with more Mario Month as we wrap it up with That One Game, Super Mario World. But until then, have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember,
play for the Goombas.
Stay for the Koopa Troopas.
Peaches, 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 peaches.